So this is probably one of the hardest reviews I've ever made. This is the third time I'm making this video or review or just recording in general, because I just feel like I cannot give this game justice enough of how cool it is, how great it is. So if I sound a little bit unenthusiastic throughout this review, it's because I've made this 3 times and I feel kind of burned out. I played this game so many times just to get everything right, to not forget something, and I don't think it's gonna work out, so I decided to shoot my shot. So if you don't know what I'm talking about and you haven't read the title of the video, I'm talking about Crash Bandicoot 2, Cortex Strikes Back. I guess we shall start with the story. So, the story starts off pretty much after the end of the first game, immediately after you beat Cortex, and I'm talking if you beat him. Apparently, the first game's second ending, which is the secret or 100% ending, is canonically non-existent, I guess. Anyways, after you beat Cortex, he falls into a cave and he finds a power crystal, which is the focus of this game's story. So after 1 year of research, Cortex and his new scientist friend, Engine, they both come to the conclusion that they need 25 power crystals to power up their space station and to pretty much mind control all the creatures on Earth. That's kind of what I'm getting at. It's a pretty good story. Now, because Cortex lost all of his allies, apparently, they decide to use
an enemy.
And actually that's a very awesome way to get all the characters back. Like, you get some boss characters from previous games like Reaper Roo, and actually that might be it. Like, you get Reaper Roo from the previous game and you get Embryo from the previous game. Jesus, I don't remember. I played this game yesterday. I even played the first one yesterday, but I kind of mashed them together. So yeah, I guess there's at least 2 characters that come back, but yeah, this is a great way to bring back some old characters from the previous games, obviously. Overall, this is pretty much the story. I really like it. I think it's very good. And also, one thing that helps the story throughout is the voice acting. The voice acting in this game is, how can I say it? It's almost flawless. I think it's a very good cartoony style voice acting, which works really good. And it's actually one of the highlights of the game that this game actually has voice acting. The first game did not have any voice acting. I think only in the first cutscene where like they explained the story, and that was pretty much it. But the second game really helps to keep things going, and it's not some kind of a complicated, confusing story. You just get talking heads and they explain what's going on. They're kind of playful, really. Like, at first Coco can't contact you, then she gets in contact, then like Neo Cortex actually gets mad that she gets in contact, because that's like, there's like a sub story to the main story, like Coco and Cortex trying to contact you, and Crash is just fucking dumb. He's just dumb. He just does whatever he gets told, and I think the story is really fun in this aspect. And actually, there's even a secret like voice acting thing that you might not even notice, But in the first level, if you don't get the crystal, like the first time he gets mad, the second time he gets even madder. It's a small touch, a small detail that's actually really good. So overall, the story I recommend. It's really fucking good. And because that's pretty much all I can say about the story, let's just jump into the gameplay. And so the gameplay is pretty much the same like the first game, or the basis of it. You still like run and jump, but the first... Oh my god, there are cats outside fighting. Okay, I tamed the cats. Anyways, the base of the game is pretty much the same. You get your running and jumping, but the difference between the first game and the sequel is that the first game did it really bad. Like, you just had running and jumping, and these two things did not feel very responsive. I really had an issue with that, especially with the spinning and movement. There was this weird delay. It was all over the place. In the sequel, it's miles better. Obviously, you do the same thing. You run, you jump. Now you also have the analog controls, which makes your gameplay more smoother, which is also a new plus. You actually, I think you jump higher in this game, and you can still spin. But you also have a few new tricks up your sleeve, like you can slide jump, you can slide only, and you can also slide jump and spin to boost yourself even higher when you jump. You can crouch jump, which also like helps you get to higher places, and you can also ground smash, which helps you with a couple of these boxes that you cannot break otherwise. Now, all of these additions, I think they make the game so much better. It's a lot more fluid, and I think also the game design of it's much better. The level design is also better. So overall, the base gameplay, which is the running and jumping sections, the platforming sections, I think are much better than they've been in the first game. If not, this game just buries the first one. In other ways, it blows it out of the water. I think that's how people say it. And yeah, also returning from the first game are the running away from boulders sections, which I really like, and the camera is actually backed further out of you, which is a big plus. Sometimes I still can't see really where I'm going, but usually these moments don't happen that often. That might have happened like once or twice. It's not that big of an issue. There's a return of the riding levels again, like the first game, and the riding levels feel miles better, just like the core gameplay. I can't even believe that these games have like 1 year difference. Like, in 1 year, everything has changed so much. It's like a completely new game, which is kind of interesting. But instead of a hog, this time in the riding levels, you get a bear, which is just fucking cute. It's adorable, except for the times when you have to jump on it to get 10 lives. But besides that, it's an adorable bear. It's called Polar, and I know that because, bro, like, Crash has been my childhood. This is not something new. Like, anyways, you get a few new added stuff, like you have this jet ski. I think it's called jet ski, which you ride, and that feels pretty good. Actually, it feels a little bit floaty, but it's jet ski. It's on water, so it should feel floaty, or I think that's the intent of it. I actually didn't have problems controlling it. Usually when I play games like these, if I have an issue controlling a thing, that's when I can say it has bad controls. But because I didn't have any issues controlling it and I thought it was pretty cool, I can't really say that. was an issue or anything. Now the weirdest addition to the game, I should say, is pretty much the jetpack, which a lot of people hate. I am kind of no about it. Like, the jetpack for me was pretty good because most of the levels with the jetpack didn't really have anything too dangerous that can kill you. Now the fact that the jetpack is in the final stages, that's what bothers me, because at the final floor you get like 5 levels. Each floor has 5 levels, that's how you progress through the whole game. And the final floor has 2 jetpack levels out of 5. So do you see where I'm going with this? Half of the final levels are jetpack levels, and you also have one of the old OG night stages, and it's kind of weird how it turns this on its head, because spoiler alert if you haven't played this game, I don't know, it's been like how many years still since this game came out. I think I'm allowed to spoil it, but spoiler alert, the final boss, you fight him in a jetpack, so I don't think you have enough time to get used to the jetpack to fight the final boss in the jetpack. But good for us, he's actually very easy, like most of the bosses in the game. If you got confused what I was talking about, jetpack, I actually like it. I don't think it's that bad. It's just the fact that it appears out of nowhere, and it takes up like half of the final stages, and it takes up the final boss, which I thought it would be a platforming level, not a jetpack level. But I like the concept of the final boss. Maybe if the jetpack was the finale of the final boss, that would have been great. But they decided to just put the jetpack. And one thing I don't understand is, why doesn't Cortex get love like his other peers? Like, all of the other bosses get like a mini cutscene or an introduction or something like that. Cortex, it's been 2 games and he never had like a proper introduction to his boss fights. I just don't get it. It feels like they always like rush before the final boss to get the game done, which is kind of a bummer, but it still doesn't change the fact that this game is pretty much amazing. Another thing to the gameplay I can add is that they actually fixed one of my biggest issues with the first game, and that was the save system, which in the newer generation we don't have a problem with the first game's save system, because there's like, if you use an emulator you can use save states. If you decide to go all natural, all retro and buy the disc, you'll have a problem with the first game. But just as awesome as the whole game, the save system works perfectly. It's just as simple as it could be. You just go to the marked spot, you save, and you're done. Was it that hard to put this in the first game? Like, even in the menu you can just press down and save or something. It would have been so much easier. Anyways, I think that's all I can cover about the gameplay. I think I've talked a lot about it, and yeah, overall the gameplay is miles better than the first one. I've said this so many times in this video, but I want to really assure you that if you don't like the first game, this game you will fucking love, because it's just flawless, almost flawless, not completely flawless. Okay, so let's just jump into the visuals before this video gets 1 hour long. Okay. So the next thing that I have to point out in the game is the visuals, and the visuals are better this time, which is kind of surprising because the first game had amazing visuals for its time, and this game has stunning visuals for its time. Really, like, everything is so much better. It feels more lively. It feels so much more natural. And also this game has, I think it has more locations. I'm not completely sure about that. I haven't kept track of it, but I felt like this game had more variety in its levels and like in its hub area. Just overall, I thought it had more variety. So the visuals are amazing, and also one thing you will notice straight away is the animations. The animations are not choppy. This time they use bones as structure for the characters, and I think they couldn't have gone in any better direction, because using bones just makes things so much smoother. And all of the animations are just as good, or just as good as the first one I was going to say, which is not true. These animations are much better than the first game. Just all of the animations are so smooth, so flawlessly done. It really feels like a cartoon coming to life, which is a very generic thing to say, but there's no other way to explain it. So yeah, the visuals and animations are just completely next level stuff. And I really like the locations. Like, you have your ice locations, your nature locations. All of these things look better than they did before. The whole game in general feels much more smooth. Also, you have lip sync, which is also you have these talking head animations, which you might say that this is a lazy way of telling the story. I think it's a genius way, because they only had talking heads and they could tell so much story with them. It was just great seeing the actors, acting out, having fun with the source material. Anyways, also the audio it's great. The soundtrack to this game is just as good as the first one. I think that the soundtrack has become something of a classic of itself. I don't think there's any other game that has the Crash soundtrack. If you hear the words Crash Bandicoot, you know that the soundtrack will consist of these elements that they feel like nature. I can't explain it, but I can play a little bit of a sound and you will just get so much nostalgia from this. It's just so unique to the game and to the whole thing. Anyway, so that brings me to the conclusion, which overall this game is just better in any way. There's no way I can explain this any better. It has better platforming, it has more various levels, it has no acceleration problems, no save system problems. It has like a better difficulty curve, or just I didn't notice it being that difficult as the first game was. It also feels a lot easier because of these improvements over the controls. It feels more solid, more focused, and it has a better story. It has no Tana, which is weird and I don't know where she went. It has like really good voice acting, really good gameplay. Everything is better. So I cannot recommend this game enough, which, if you want to play it, maybe go for the remake. I don't think you have to play it on the original PS1. There's a remake, there's tons of ways to play it. So yeah, if you love platformers, this is a game that you shouldn't miss out on. Yeah, I'm just glad that these games, like the Crash series, was pretty much like an introduction to my gaming adventure, which has been so many years now, and I'm still kicking, I'm still going, it's not slowing down. Anyways, thank you guys for watching this video. I cannot really thank you enough for being here. It's been a pleasure, and I'm sorry for the slowdown of videos. I'm really trying to make them, but it just happens that I really feel like it's been a very slow pace, which yeah, I currently have a lot of stuff to finish up as well, because this is not the only thing I'm doing. But yeah, I try to keep it up. I try to play all the series because I honestly have like a really cool plan of playing a lot of different series, not only Crash Bandicoot, but I want to be done with one of these series. Like right now, I have like a drone pad. I forgot what it's called, but I have like a thing I should do kind of list, and completing Crash is one of the things on the list. Currently I have all the Crash games, so I don't have any excuses of not doing that. So I want to try and play all of the Crash games to see what happens, and I will try to do that. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, you know what to do. I was the Twisted, and peace out. Till next time.